Say it again.
Evolution.
That's your answer to did creation happen?
No, this just, well, maybe.
You never know.
Undecided.
I feel confident that it's not.
Watch me.
No. What?
Evolution is. Did creation happen? Evolution. That was.
That's what just happened.
Pretty much. Evolution just happened.
Yep.
Do you think the first Hebrews who the Genesis was written for, do you think they were scientific creationists?
Mm-hmm. No, definitely.
They definitely were. They know how to do
Do you
that.
think they were theistic evolutionists?
Also, I don't know.
Come on, we got to go with no on that.
Yeah.
The very theory of evolution that exists, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So then, if the question is creationism or theistic evolutionism, aren't you going to come up with the wrong answer?
That's a good point.
Right? If you, like, for example, can you guys tell me what color plaid the sky was this morning?
No.
You ask the wrong question, you're going to get the wrong answer every single time.
It's a good point.
And the first question to me then is not how should we read Genesis. The first question is both creationism and evolutionism come from science. We should be asking about what science is capable of doing. All right? And so we need to examine what science is. We need to have a definition of science. And we need to ask questions about its ability to say anything about, first, the past, but secondly, anything. Starting with the idea, is science about working with facts? Well, what is a fact? And is it biblical? And if you spend some time looking at the history of ideas, one of the things you learn very quickly is the idea of the fact, this objective, knowable thing that stands apart from me and apart from the rest of reality. I can isolate it, and it is rock bottom reality. That idea is only about 400 years old, maybe 500 years old. Therefore, the very idea of the fact is not a biblical idea at all. And so if we're saying science is about finding objective truth based on facts, we're already running into a problem here because the facts themselves are not objective. What do you mean the facts aren't objective? Well, we have come to think of reality as a bunch of individual little parts. That's not the way biblical man thought of reality. All right, so that's the first problem. The second problem is all facts must be interpreted. You cannot say, this is the fact, and you can't argue with it. You have to say, here's the fact, and I'm going to tell you what it means. Meaning is an act of interpretation. Interpretation is done by human beings. Human beings are subjective. I mean, only last week I heard someone talk about going to medical school to study the objective truth of science. Science isn't objectively true. All right? If science was objectively true and facts were concrete and in no need of change, why would textbooks get rewritten? The science textbooks are constantly rewritten. All right? Well, the idea was, so what we need is an accumulation of facts. The more facts we accumulate, and we correct our own mistakes, the more true we become. That's how science works. Except that's not how science works. All right? And this was proven by a fellow named Thomas Kuhn in a book called The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, in which he talked about science working within paradigms. And when the paradigm becomes sufficiently a problem, a paradigm shift occurs. And when the shift occurs, it occurs through acts of imagination combined with facts. Once again, all facts must be interpreted. That, even then, is still not the major problem. The major problem for science is this. That is, if we're going to narrow the definition enough, right? So, like, is rocket science science, or is that engineering? Well, it's called applied science, but I'm just using this example to say you kind of need to narrow your definition of science. Is mathematics science? See, and I want to say that it's not, okay, but it seems to me science needs observation and experimentation, and both of those need to be repeatable. If that's the case, then that can only be done in the present. And if that's the case, then anything science has to say about the past, whether it's evolutionary science or creation science, is interpreted. Now, if they're going to use facts to make their interpretations, but they're still going to be making interpretations. More importantly, then, that's not the way biblical man thought. If I'm going to read Genesis, I want to read it as close to the way the biblical man thought as I possibly can. In part 2 of my lecture, I'll discuss what that means. For now, we're going to continue the tour.
So here we are going to be going to the Creation Museum.
With the 7 C's, not C's.
Past, our present, and our future.